Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to EQ piano in just 3 steps. Today we're going to be EQing some piano, but before we dive in, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at this piano. So I'm going to start, of course, by playing you the song so you can hear the finished mix here. And then I'll solo up the piano track so you can hear what our finished piano mix sounds like. So here's our finished mix for this song. 1, 2, 3, want to look at me. 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? 7, 8, 9, now it ain't fine. 1, 2, 3, want to look at me. So you can hear it's a good full piano sound to fit inside of like a pop rock track like this. It doesn't have all that big boomy low end or that heaviness that you want when it's just a solo grand piano track. It has some good bottom end to it, so it still feels full range, and it has all that brightness you need up top without it being harsh, pokey, or too heavy or muddy in the bottom end. So let's jump in here and we can look at the EQ. You can see it seems like a lot of moves here, but we're going to put it all down into just 3 simple steps here. So let me take out all of our moves here on the piano. And we're going to start with the first step, which is getting your high pass set in the right place here. So for me, it's up at about 138 hertz here on the piano. So take a listen without and then with the high pass filter. Hear how much of a difference just the high pass filter made? With a piano track, especially if you have like a live grand piano mic'd up, but even digital pianos, you're gonna get a lot more low end than you need inside of a full track. If there's guitars, electric, acoustic, keyboards, bass, all that stuff going, you're not going to need all that super low end that you're going to get from a full range piano track. So just rolling up your high pass filter, which is our first step here, is going to clear up so much of the piano sound for you and really focus in on just the heart of the sound. So take a listen one more time. This time I'll do with, and then I'll take it out. You can hear how much heaviness we get from the bottom end that we're really clearing up here. So that's step 1 there, is getting your high pass filter set in the right place. And usually if you're setting piano in a track like this with a lot of instruments going on, especially if there's bass and guitars going on, you usually want to set your high pass filter right at about the lowest note where the piano is hitting. So that's right around here at like 140. You can see that's the fundamental frequency of like the bottom end octaves that the keyboard player is hitting. So right about there clears out all of that sub information, all that low end that we don't need, while not making the piano feel really thin. So that's our first step here. Now step number 2, before we're going into our compression, you know me, I like to put in my compression before I boost anything. Step number 2 is getting rid of the frequencies that you don't need here. So there's 3 frequencies that I identified here in kind of like the low mid and the mid range that I don't need, that are taking up too much space here. So once you clear off the bottom end, identify the frequencies that you don't need and go after those before you start boosting. So the first one here is kind of right after our high pass filter. We're aiding the top end part of that high pass filter to get that fundamental frequency note and pull that down just a little bit more. So we've cleared off everything below our high pass that we don't need, but right there at kind of our crossover point there, there's a little bit too much of that fundamental frequency. So we're going to pull that back here about 2.5 dB at 163 hertz. So take a listen to this. This move right here on piano can help tame some of those lower hits, those lower notes when you hit, because sometimes they'll ring out, depending on what key you're in, the kind of room you're in. Sometimes those lower notes will ring a little bit too much. And this kind of move here, just pulling out with a wider cue like this, or a normal style cue, just pulling out almost 3 dB can help to tame some of that ringing there. Now moving up a little bit from there, we're at about 284 here, 280 hertz. I'm pulling out about 3 dB here to reduce that muddiness that we're getting in the low mid area. So I'll hit play here and I'll put this cut in and then I'll boost it up so you can hear the frequency range we're affecting. So without and then with. This area here, kind of the 300 hertz area on piano, especially like digital piano for me, if you have too much of this, it feels like it overshadows the entire piano sound. Like you have so much resonance that it just takes over the piano. And you could hear that when I boost it up. Everything kind of just goes together into a ringing sound in this low mid area. So pulling out about 3 dB of that really goes a long way to clear up your piano sound. Now the last frequency that I needed to get rid of here, so step 2 is getting rid of the things that we don't need here, was this guy right here at 554 hertz. There was just a frequency that was ringing out here that I heard it. I just, as narrow as we could possibly go on the cue, and we're just notching that out. So take a listen without, and then I'll kick it in and I'll boost it up so you can hear that ring. So you can hear no matter what chords or what notes we're hitting on the piano, there was this constant frequency just ringing through the entire piano sound. Things like that are when you want to get rid of. If you have things that ring on certain chords, you can pull them out if you need to, but if it's in key, if it's in tone, a lot of times it's okay and you can let it go. So now we've done step 2. We've gotten rid of the frequencies we don't need here inside the piano. This is where I would throw my compressor in. So now we've got our compressor in here after we do our cuts. So do your cuts and then get your compressor in. So that means step 1, getting your high pass in place, and then step 2, removing unwanted frequencies inside your piano. Then we go to step 3, which is boosting the frequencies that you want on your piano. So there's 2 frequencies we're going to boost here. The first one is probably the most important one, and that's your top end to get that brightness that you want on your piano sound. So we're up at about 5K, 4.5K, 4.55K, and we're boosting almost 5 dB here with a normal, so a wider cue. We're at 1 on the cue. Take a listen to what this does to our piano sound. It's really going to brighten up the sound, and it's going to feel like we're pulling like a blanket or a tarp off the piano. So take a listen without and then with here. This kind of boost here is going to give you the difference between a darker piano sound and a brighter piano sound. A brighter piano sound is going to sit better in a track like this that has a couple guitars, a full drum kit, vocals, organ. That kind of stuff, you need a brighter piano sound so you can hear it inside the mix. Otherwise, it's just going to get overshadowed by the organ, the vocals, and the guitars, and you'll just kind of hear the tone from the piano. You won't hear exactly what chords or you won't hear any of these frequencies coming through. Our piano will just kind of get buried under everything. This kind of frequency here, this 5K, 4K, that's that brightness that's going to help your piano cut through. Now the last boost we have here is just a touch of mid-range here at about 1K. We're at 995 hertz, just a half dB here. I felt we were lacking some fullness in the piano overall, so just a dB of this here help the piano make, or help the piano feel more full, excuse me. So take a listen to this here without it, and then a half dB of 1K. It's going to be subtle, but it's going to make the piano feel more full range here. You can hear that high boost is really helping to make sure our piano sits nicely with our guitars and sits nicely right there underneath our vocals. So you can hear it and you hear what it's doing inside the mix. So let's do a full A-B here now on our EQ. We'll do it by itself and we'll do it inside the mix as well here. 1, 2, 3, won't you look at me? 4, 5, 6, tell me when will you miss? Just 3 simple steps to EQing your piano tracks. Step 1 is getting your high pass set in the right place so you don't have all of that low, heavy notes that you don't need inside of a bigger track like this. Step 2 is removing unwanted frequencies inside your piano, so getting rid of muddiness and heaviness. And then of course step number 3 is adding that brightness and that air up on the top end to help your piano cut through the mix. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.